When I watch my heroes play, they have command of the fretboard. I want command of the fretboard. We all want command of the fretboard. So we learn our scales, we learn a bunch of chords, maybe we learn the cage system, systems that bring it all together, and what we end up with is fretboard knowledge, right? However, the capability to tie it all together and to move through that knowledge with some musicality is a skill that can be built. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Chris. Today you will learn the Pentatonic Linear Escape. Now, linear escape, why the fancy words? What's that all about? Linear simply means we're going to be looking at playing notes on single strings, so more of a linear fashion than a vertical fashion, right? So more along strings than across them. And then escape, well, we all want to break out of these pentatonic boxes, right? We're going to be using the pentatonic scale here. We all want to break out of those boxes, so I just thought the word escape was like sort of dramatic, right? It makes me feel like we're going to ride a motorcycle and jump over some barbed wire. Carving out a guitar education online can be a little tricky. TrueFire has solved this problem by curating thousands of high-quality guitar lessons from hundreds of the world's best guitar instructors on one platform. You can use TrueFire to craft a curriculum that's just right for you, regardless of your capability or musical interest, and will always be delivered by teachers you can trust. Use the code CURIOUS30 to save 30% on anything on the TrueFire platform, and consider their All Access Pass, which gives you access to the entire platform for a full year. The problem we're trying to solve here is how do you use that fretboard information and tie it together in a musical way. Here's a great example. You got the pentatonic scale down, right? You got that A minor pentatonic scale. Maybe you know the other 4 positions, right? But you're really comfortable with this one. And when you're up here, you're like, maybe you got something going on. By the time you get up to this one and this one, you're like, I don't really know what's going on. Here's the greatest news ever. They're all the same notes, right? So why is it that we're like a little more uncomfortable here and we can't, we might be moving to another position simply because we think we should, right? There's got to be a better way. And these exercises I'm about to show you basically put you in the seat and make you accountable for saying something musical while you go from one position to another, right? Retaining some musicality and some intention and some cognition allows you to use this information in a musical way. Let's zoom in and let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, linear escape. Remember, linear is looking at notes along strings instead of across them. And escape simply means we're trying to find a way, build a technique to get out of this position, to get ourselves up the fretboard, right? But in these exercises, we're also going to sort of bring some musicality along and make sure we have a reason to get out of these positions. Not just, I'm going to play this position because it's here, but these escape techniques allow us to retain some musicality. We're going to be using 4 different exercises to build this skill. They're going to get harder and harder as we go. They're each going to use a 2-octave A minor pentatonic scale. They're always going to start and end on the root to retain that musicality. All right, let's get started. Okay, level 1, we're just going to build the skill on how to get out of the position and retain some musicality. This is super, super easy. We're going to play this A minor pentatonic scale through 2 octaves, just like that. But instead of ending on this note, the A note on the E string on the 5th fret, we're going to put that note on the 10th fret of the B string. Super simple. Watch this. It's almost too simple. But the thing it's done is it allows me to move out of the position with some intention, right? And it may sound simple, but we're going to build on this pretty much right away. This just keeps me focused on why I'm leaving the position. Okay, level 2, same idea. Instead of exiting on the B string, we're going to escape on the G string. So our initial root of that 2-octave scale was on the A string, 5th fret. Then we escaped, we put it on the B string on the 10th fret. Now on the G string, it's all the way up here on the 14th fret. All the same note, right? But now we're going to have to get from here to here and make sure this is our target. I'm going to throw one more thing in, and that is triplets. We're going to play triplets for this exercise. And triplets are simply groups of 3 notes. I just start the scale here. I play 3 notes. Then I go to the second note and I do the same thing. Then I start 3 notes from here, then from here, and so on and so on. Right? So, triplets, escaping on the G string, target note, 14th fret. Here we go. Pretty cool, right? We've got those triplets in that keep us sort of engaged, get our synchronization going. We've got that target note way up here, and we've covered a lot of fretboard, right? We can also start to incorporate slides. When I have to cover all that ground on a single string, I can use slides now. The only thing that's a little tricky now is that I have to keep track of how the distances are. And if that's a challenge, let me just tell you what they are. We're going from 7 to 9 to 12 to 14. All right, level 3, we're going to keep the triplets, we're going to keep the slides. Our target note is way up here because we're exiting on the D string this time. But now, since we might have had a problem sort of keeping track of where we were when we exited on the G string and we had to cover all that ground and sort of remember what frets we were on, now I'm going to basically put in the formula for the minor pentatonic scale. And we're going to bring this information along with us to help us keep track so we don't have to memorize frets. We're now looking at these relationships. This is the formula for the minor pentatonic scale. Root, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, root. These numbers refer to the major scale. They're either the numbers that we use from the major scale or in these 2 instances, notes that we alter from the scale. So let me just show the distances here because that's the thing that we want to keep in mind. So we know that no matter where we are in the scale, we know how far it is to the next note. So those distances are this. Between the root and the flat 3 is a minor third. This is also called an augmented second. It's basically 3 frets. I'm going to call it a minor third, that little M3. Between the third, that flat 3, and the 4 is a whole step. Between the 4 and the 5 is a whole step. Between the 5 and the flat 7 is that minor third again. And then between the flat 7 and the root, a whole step again. So that's our whole formula. That's our scale formula. So now when I exit on this D string, since I've got so much room to cross, I really want to make sure I understand where I am in the scale. The cool thing about this is that I've designed it so we exit on the D string and we're starting on the root. So when I get to the D string, all I have to do is keep track of the intervals and go right up the design of the scale all the way up the D string. Here's how it goes. Right? So I don't have to memorize what fret I'm on. I just constantly sort of keep track of where I am in the scale so I know the next distance. Root, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, root. Okay, level 4, we're going to put it all together. We're going to keep the triplets, we're going to keep the slides, and we're going to keep that scale formula with us the whole time. But we're going to do multiple escapes. We're not just going to escape on a single string. We're just going to keep escaping as we go. And we're going to go all the way from here, all the way up to here. Here's what the exercise looks like. So it looks a little complex. It looks like, oh my gosh, how are we going to keep track of everything? Let me just show you, when I make these escapes, how I'm thinking about the scale. Root, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, root, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, root, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, root. Now in the triplets, I can't really do that. Root 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, it's going to be too much of a cognitive load. So I'm just going to say the notes as I target them and slide into them. So this is what I'm thinking when I play this phrase. 5, 5, flat 7, root, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, root, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, root. Keeping yourself attached to this scale formula as you go takes a little bit of work. It's a bit of a cognitive load, but once you do it a few times, it gets very, very easy. And then when you escape any position, you've got a reason to go there, and you're going to play much more musically and much more melodically. Okay, there it is. A couple of exercises to help you build this skill of tying together the information that you may already have and maintaining some musicality as you move through the information. It's very, very different than just memorizing the positions, right? But why would I want to switch to another position? And when I do, how do I remain melodic? How do I remain musical? I've tabbed this lesson out. Those tabs are on Patreon, along with tabs for every video on this channel. And through Patreon, you can also get access to my teaching platform called The Studio. So if you'd like to get in a little bit deeper with me or just show your support for the channel, Patreon's the best way to go about it. As always, I hope you found this interesting. I hope you found it helpful. Stay curious, and I'll see you next time.